Shifting Gears, The Rookie, ABC, 911, ABC, Will Trent, ABC, linear broadcast. Guys, do you have any idea where the first show is for Disney Plus on this chart and what it is?
I don't want to cheat.
At number 45, Agatha All Along.
Oh, it has to be an original show for them? Oh,
Bluey is not Disney Plus. It's on Disney Plus, but it's not a Disney original.
Yeah, that's what I said. You meant original show? Yeah, okay. And wow, I can't believe Agatha is the one that did it.
Renegade Online. So this is the Nielsen chart, Variety and Nielsen, right? Since we had spam requests in the chat earlier for, I don't look at Nielsen. I don't talk about Nielsen. Nielsen. Because if you look at Nielsen, Andor's the biggest show on the history of, no, it isn't.
Well, everybody's talking about him.
So, right.
But they ain't heard a word you're saying.
Right, exactly. I guess that's it.
Just the echoes of my mind.
That's it. So here we go. For the first time, we have streaming and linear put together. Now, there's some caveats to this. I want to read through a bit of the particulars here. And they talk about, look, some of the biggest or two of the most watched new shows. High Potential on ABC, a Disney linear broadcast show, right? That presumably would feed into Hulu after it's out for a week, right? So we have that, right? But again, we've been talking specifically about Disney Plus because that is the giant black hole that Disney has been pumping tens of billions of dollars down since 2019. All right, still about $10 billion in the hole on this one. So we wanted to see, where is that streaming service going? We know ABC and ESPN get audiences, right? That's never been in question. We've never questioned it here, at the very least. Nielsen's multi-platform ratings are finally here. And for the first time since the dawn of the streaming revolution, we can see apples-to-apples comparisons of how shows across the TV landscape are doing. Thanks to these new measurements, we get a full snapshot of what people are watching on linear and streaming, or both. And for those who like to rank the most watched series on TV, this has changed the game. The Nielsen multi-platform, again, this is Nielsen. This is not Luminate, which is who Variety uses every week with far faster reports on data than Nielsen is able to deliver, but they still work with Nielsen on this one. But the multi-platform numbers from Nielsen, which include 35 days of linear and streaming viewing. Unfortunately, they don't add any more color to what that means, right? Because if you have a show that is episodic and is like Mobland, that show is 10 weeks. 10 weeks of show. That's way more than 35 days. That's like 80 days.
You just keep reminding me I have an episode to watch, by the way.
So that's the point. So I don't know if it's like the 35 days they captured of the peak of when it was on the air, or the 35 days from the day that the first episode came out. They don't say exactly what this 35 days is. Or is it 35 days after the whole show? I don't know.
Nielsen Schmielsen.
I know. They do not give us a lot of color on what that means. They say here that High Potential started, this is the ABC show linear broadcast, 8.2 million viewers on linear, and then nearly doubled that with 7.9 million viewers on Hulu, bringing it to a total average of 16.1 million viewers. Matlock started with 10.5 million, which I still can't believe, on CBS, and then added 5.5 million via Paramount Plus. So again, going to show you that these are not proprietary shows, right? These are not shows exclusive to Hulu. These are not shows exclusive to Paramount Plus. These are broadcast shows that are then being ported over to the streaming service, right? Which is
they're basically taking over TiVo and VCR.
More or less. If you look at younger demos, the imbalance is even more striking. It's clear that viewers under 50 are more often watching broadcast shows on their streaming partners. No shocker there. The stats also confirm that Netflix is a behemoth, just as we've long known. Variety's annual rankings of the TV season's most watched series have traditionally looked at just the linear broadcast and cable networks. This year, we're proud to showcase a more comprehensive list of the most watched during the 24-25 TV frame. Now, I want to, again, I'm going to go back and put this into context. So what is the 2024-2025 TV frame? Okay, well, here it is. U.S. Television Database, 2024-2025 television season. What is that? Officially, and this is what's determined by, when they go out and they sell upfronts. We've talked about this before. We're going to sell advertising for all the new stuff coming out in the fall that's going to run through the spring. A lot of it's sports, some of it's scripted television, some of it's repeat stuff, okay? But the 2024-25 television season began Monday, September 23rd, 2024, ended on Sunday, May 25th, 2025, which was like a week ago. Now, obviously, and this is the problem, we'll go back to this chart. So I want everybody to kind of bear this in mind, okay, that this chart, and they even say it here, cuts off before that period ends, about a month and a half before. We have to take that into account. Now, this chart does not include live sports, does not include news programs, right? Does not include any kind of recurring television stuff like daily episodes of Judge Judy, which, by the way, draws twice as much audience as Andor.
Judge Judy.
Still, Judge Judy still brings in twice the audience Andor does. I'm not even kidding.
She's a no-nonsense type of gal.
You guys got to know that costs at least $50 million an episode. I mean, the effects are out of this world.
Absolutely.
Oh wait, it is literally just a woman sitting in a room with
Right.
a sassy bailiff, and people with no money volunteer to come on and talk trash about each other.
Wait, let me finish this. I got to finish this. Hang on. Also, since this looks out at 35 days, the cutoff for this chart for the measurement was early April. We know that a lot of TV happens in late April and early May, so that's a big asterisk, okay? And there's a lot of stuff, obviously, that came out late April and then into early May, or early April into May, that wouldn't have gotten picked up. Obviously, Andor didn't get picked up in this chart, but we already have the Luminate data. We know exactly what it did, right? Mobland started in early April, so it did not get the full breadth of its growth that we showed earlier. So I'm just throwing that out there right now. The Nielsen multi-platform numbers show that Netflix dominates. 5 of the top 10 shows, excluding sports here, are on Netflix. Season 2 of Squid Game was the most watched series of the season by far, averaging 27 million viewers. While at number 2 was a surprise limited series, Adolescence, that was also on Netflix, with 19 million. Netflix also has the most watched comedy of the year with Nobody Wants This. But again, let's go down to the chart. You get an idea here. Miss Rachel, a YouTube personality known for preschool-oriented videos, 11.5 million viewers for her programs on Netflix. A YouTuber on Netflix. Yeah.
Can I put something into perspective real quick before you get too far away from this?
Sorry,
those
Blue,
top
you've
numbers,
got some competition.
Those top numbers for viewership.
Uh-huh.
What was the number one show again? 45 million?
27 million.
Sorry, 27. Not even close, right?
Not even
Can
close
anybody
to...
tell me what the average viewership for Cheers was every week since we just lost George Wendt here not too long ago?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll look that up.
It was probably about 30.
I know the answer. I have the answer right
I know. I was going to say about 22 million a week.
Ha! Ha! On a slow day,
No,
you're talking
no.
80 million
Oh,
viewers
shit.
on
Really?
average. This is my point I've been saying all along. They have destroyed themselves. This is BS. When your number one show of the year only has a fraction of what the biggest comedy did back in the 80s, right? And Cheers arguably probably wasn't even the biggest comedy. Cosby probably dwarfed it in ratings.
Yeah, that's
Even
true.
still, Cosby probably averaged 100 million every week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think about that. I mean, somebody in the chat mentioned this, but MASH was enormous, right?
Another one that had an average of like 60 to 70 million a week, if not more.
And now, mind you, again, we can point to the fact that linear television was the only game in town for a while. But even when we got cable, a lot of these programs still dominated our zeitgeist. They don't create things like that anymore that are wide-reaching and all-encompassing and, have the kind of reach because they don't have the kind of writing. They don't have the kind of character development. They don't have the kind of humor. I mean, Taxi. Think about Taxi. I can go through all the classic sitcoms of the time and tell you that Friends kicked everybody's ass. It was just different.
Seinfeld had an average of 70 million viewers for Pete's sake. And these are just comedies. Do you want me to pull up something like ER?
Yeah, go for it. I mean,
we'll get back to that. But let's again.
It was rhetorical, but yeah, sorry. I just
know.
wanted to point that out because look at how this is just.
There were a lot of exactly. There was a lot of households that tuned in. You had appointment viewing back then. It was very, very different. But here's the thing: is that let's get to the chart. The losers, they say here, basic cable, kind of no surprise there. Linear viewing among younger demos. Again, this doesn't include news, doesn't include live sports. So let's get to these, and we can see here. And again, this is the first time we've seen a mix down of these. The top shows of the 24-25 season. So I want to let everybody know here. The Acolyte, not on this chart, because the Acolyte would have come out and finished before that September portion because it came out in the summer. Didn't capture that. We know, to be fair, at least according to what Disney gave us, is that the Acolyte had a better viewership than Skeleton Crew and had a better viewership than Agatha, from what we could tell, based on Disney reporting that they had, I think it was 11 million views globally in the first week. Now, this chart is not global. This is North America. That's it. This is limited in North America here. So I want you to see down here. Now, we're not going to pick these apart one at a time because God knows there ain't no time to do that. But what I want everybody to pay attention to is this. Jonas, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Who is the number 2 largest streaming company out there behind Netflix in terms of subs?
Oh, in terms of subs, I actually don't know if I can answer that. Is it Max right now?
No, it's going to be Disney.
Disney. Company. Sorry,
yeah,
I thought it was talking about service. Yes, it's Disney.
Well, yeah, Disney because now Disney coalesces these things now, right? They put Hulu and Disney Plus together, more or less. And even in their charts, remember when they pull up the Nielsen charts, they're like Disney, and that includes Hulu and Disney Plus and everything else. So
that's not accurate.
Okay.
Well,
Prime,
wait,
but
that's
Prime,
how
we
it's
don't
listed,
really know.
But that's
yeah.
Prime, we don't really know.
And we're not counting YouTube.
Yeah. They're technically 26% of the market.
Well, but we're talking about scripted stuff here, not YouTube. Okay, so just from a streaming service, because YouTube is not a streaming service. But let me get through here. We've got Netflix, the number 2 spots. CBS comes in at number 3. Amazon Prime with Reacher at number 4 with 17 million viewers. High potential on ABC. That's the first Disney thing that we see there. But again, that's linear broadcast, right? It's a linear show that ports over to Hulu. It's not a streaming original. So again, we're looking at stuff. You look at what Netflix does with no broadcast. These are all purely streaming originals. You see how dominant they are, okay? Matlock on CBS. Landman. Again, brand new show.
Matlock.
Brand new show. Landman. 16 million, roughly, viewers every week on average for Landman. The Netflix, down to 16. CBS, Yellowstone, 12.1 million. Paramount Network, CBS is kind of a split. Landman was outpulling Yellowstone there, okay? 1923. All right? 1923, 11.9 million. But remember, this measurement ended in early April. 1923's, I think, finale episode was, I think, a week after the measurement for this closed, if I'm not mistaken, or right before it. So, but still, huge audience for that. And you keep going down here. You don't see, like, there's no Hulu original yet. There's no
Didn't
Disney.
they also... Sorry, I just want to say, didn't they also get the last season of Yellowstone when the new season dropped? Because isn't that their deal with Universal?
Something along those lines.
So that might be why they had that bump for Yellowstone, is what I was going to point out.
Mobland charted with 11 million viewers. The show had just come out when the measurement period for this stopped. Remember we showed the thing earlier from Mobland, and they had 8.8 million views in the first week. They had 2.5 million or whatever it was the first day. And then it blew up to almost 9 million in the first week. It took off after week 3 in the Luminate charts. It went even bigger. So that Mobland figure is probably going to be way, if this thing had gone through May 25th, Mobland would probably be up in this top 10 region. Okay? Just to give you an idea. Again, shifting gears, the rookie, ABC, 911, ABC, Will Trent, ABC, linear broadcast. Guys, do you have any idea where the first show is for Disney Plus on this chart and what it is?
I don't want to cheat.
Bluey?
At number 45, Agatha All Along.
Oh, it has to be an original show for them. Oh,
And
yeah,
Bluey
okay.
is not Disney Plus. It's on Disney Plus, but it's not a Disney
It's
Yeah,
original.
that's what I
Bluey.
said. You meant original show? Yeah, okay. And wow, I can't believe Agatha is the one that did it.
Agatha is because Agatha came out right in the beginning, in the sweet spot of this measurement period, kind of in that fall season, which shocks me that it actually got its way up to 9 million. Guess what? We're not going to see Disney Plus again until we get all the way down into the 80s. Ladies and gentlemen, Skeleton Crew at number 84.
Oh man, that was dog duty.
And
Oh,
Daredevil.
wow.
Daredevil at number 92.
That's a disappointment right there, is Daredevil, yeah.
Yeah, so here's the point. Now, so as a follow-up question, Jonas, so in terms of being a streaming service, you've got Netflix, you've got Disney. On average, which of all the streaming services out there, which streaming service is spending by far and away the most money per show to produce these originals?
Oh, absolutely Disney Plus.
Absolutely
No question
Disney Plus.
whatsoever.
And look at the results right here. This is what we've been talking about. They are spending an absolutely insane. Now, if Andor had met the capture window for this, which it didn't, but again, we already have the data on it. We already know exactly where it would have landed. Andor would have landed right down in here in the 90s. It would have landed. It might not have even made the top 100. It would have landed somewhere up in here in the 5 to 6 million range, based on the numbers that we have now from Luminate, cumulatively from the time it started to where we are now.
I'm sorry, I just have to point this out. 84 is a tie between Skeleton Crew and Dream Productions. Dream Productions is the cast-offs of Inside Out 2. It's probably things that were meant to go on the cutting room floor that they turned into episodes for Disney Plus.
Yes.
What an embarrassment.
Yes.
For Skeleton Crew.
You're behind the scenes, deleted scenes special, like you said exactly, that probably cost Disney next to nothing because they were already there, right? Brought in the same audience as your 150 million some odd dollar Star Wars show. This is why all this stuff on Disney Plus needs to go away. And that is the answer, because it's a financially non-viable streaming service. Now, the thing is here is that what this tells you, you look here, who's the audience for Disney Plus? 18
Nobody.
to 49-year-olds. Look at this. Agatha All Along, 18 to 49-year-olds. It actually, for 18 to 49-year-olds, you look at this, Agatha actually surprisingly gets up there. But that's for that one tiny demo. Here's the point. The charts are telling us unequivocally, with the exception of little blips, but very expensive blips, okay? Obviously, very, very expensive blips. You go down here, look at Agatha All Along, and then you've got, what's the next one on this list? Daredevil, down here at 38. Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Again, very, very expensive shows that are not pulling the audience. The point is, the audience on Disney Plus, it's little kids. It's all little kids. That's what's mostly there, because Disney just went out and bought Coco Melon, or the rights to it.
Which is tanking.
Well, yeah.
Right. Well, they put junk in it. They all of a sudden they turned it into infected propaganda.
Yeah, unlike Bluey, which eventually I'm sure they'll get around to.
And I think that's why Disney basically was fine with letting it go.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.